Hi, Kathryn here with Handmade by circleartdesigns. Well, today on my work table, I am going to be working on a cloud charm bracelet. This is a April Bargain Bead Box project, and it is part of the April Showers collection. Oh, aren't these pictures lovely? This will be a stretch bracelet, and I think it is just a beautiful little charm bracelet, and it would go perfect with the earrings that we made in Project 7. So let's turn our eyes to the mat and get started. So as I turn my eyes to the mat today, I see my Simply Grateful mat. I always try to start with that because I truly am simply grateful for this gift of working with jewelry, of being able to post on YouTube, and being able to share with you. Simply grateful. But today I have a funny thing to be simply grateful for, and that is my crock pot. I have discovered the joys of crock potting, especially for Sunday lunch. Normally, I have to come home and do everything, and a lot of times I've been at church for 2 services because the choir would be singing in 2, but I'm so simply grateful for the invention of a crock pot and the blessing that it gives in my life, because I come home, I open that, I put out our plates, I make a salad, and we can sit down to the table and share the Lord's blessing we had that day. So what are you simply grateful for? What small thing in your life today are you grateful for? Okay, let's turn our eyes to the mat. So the first thing I want to do here is I want to go ahead and get my pen, kind of hoping that's in the center. I think I've gotten it off to one side, but let's start with these from the Bargain Bead Box. These are 6mm Amazonite matte round beads in a beautiful frosty sky blue. Now, isn't that pretty? I just love these. They are so pretty. I use them on the earrings, and like I said, Project 7 will go with this really well. The next up is the 6x4mm crystal faceted rondelles and a sea opal, and this is from March. I used a few of them in March, but not many. And these have such a beautiful, I think they're a kind of a blue milk glass color. And I think they will really work well with the Amazonite and in this bracelet. And the next is from the November Bargain Bead Box. And these are some 6mm glass in a matte as well. And it's in that beautiful dark blue. Now remember, the April Bargain Bead Box is called April Showers. And so I want the lightness, but the darkness of the sky as well for those April showers. And then coming off are our package of these beautiful little cloud charms. They are so cute. I got 10 of them in the April Bargain Bead Box, and I will look and see if they're still on site. If they are, I will put a link to them when I post this video. So the next up is the Stretch Magic cord in a 0.7mm. I get mine from Michael's, but they also have it on Amazon. And my hands are shaking today, but they're not shaking as bad as, because I sped this up just a little bit because I am so slow when I work that this film would be twice as long if I didn't. So sorry about the shaking of my left hand. It drives me a little crazy, but you know, I've adapted to it. So now I'm starting out with I took it off. Let's see what I'm going to start out with. Oh, I know. I'm going to go ahead. All right, Kathryn, get over here so you can see what you're doing. And I wanted to show you the little clouds. And I have gone ahead and put a jump ring in these, and I was going to go ahead and start beading, but I decided I want to put my charms on as I'm beading, as opposed to putting them on when the bracelet is finished. So I have pulled out some of the medium size oval jump rings. I'm doing oval because I want them to be able to hang down a little bit without the bulk of a larger circle jump ring. So I'm using the oval. There's a little slit right there. I put it between two of the chain nose pliers, holding one steady. I give it a twist and open it up, and then I'm going to close it the same way. Only twist one side. I know I say that every video, but it's really true. If you will hold it steady and then only twist one side, it will not put as much stress on that metal. And I am putting a charm on every one of these jump rings so that I can put them on, as I said, as we build it. But jump rings have a memory. Our metal has a memory. Jump rings, anything has a memory. Even your memory wire. That's why it's called memory wire. And you don't want to stress that and give it a different memory so that whenever you least expect it, it would come open. You just want to be very careful with them. They're sturdy, they're meant to be used, but they also need to be used in the proper way. So you hold it between two chain nose pliers, you twist one wrist, holding the other steady. When it's open, go ahead and put your charm on it or whatever you're putting on, and then you can just close it right back up with the twist of one wrist. You can give one side a little rock if you need to get that lined up, but also touch it on the top. If you touch it on the top and it's not rough, that jump ring should be closed. All right, so we've got those done, and I'm going to stretch my wire here just like that, and we're going to start building our bracelet. So I have pulled out some of the 6/0 and 11/0 silver seed beads, and I put a 6/0 seed bead on as my stopper bead, then an 11/0 seed bead, and then one of those opal and that faceted rondelle. They are so pretty. They really do look kind of like milk glass, and I have enough of these that I could do just a milk glass or opal AB bracelet. Oh shoot, I could probably do a necklace. All right. Once I do that, I put on another 11/0. I put on that dark blue matte glass bead, an 11/0, and then I'm going to go ahead and put on another of the dark glass and an 11/0, and then one more. So in this dark glass, I am going to put it in sets of 3. If you know me, you know I love odd numbers, although for this one I do use an even. So 11/0s are what's breaking up the pattern, and we've started with the Rondelle in that beautiful milky color, and then 3 of the dark blue. Now, doesn't that remind you of a sky just before or just after a rainstorm? This really is a beautiful palette for April showers. Now then, once I have got my 11/0 on, I'm going to go ahead and put one of these cloud charms on. And yes, it will go over the 11/0, but that's okay. You want the consistency, and you do not want your charm to ride over your stretch cord, because it will give it some wear and tear. So the next thing I've done is I put on 2 of those sky blue Amazonites, just like that. Isn't that pretty? And I have broke those up again with the 11/0s. And then for this one, I've done a 2, and I'm going to go ahead and put on a charm. Now, whenever I am doing this, I am making sure that my slit in my jump rings are all facing the same. And when I put this bracelet, when I tie this bracelet, I then will make sure that the slits will go to the inside, that they will be the ones that lay up against the arm, and it'll have a solid front. Okay, once we have done that, we're going to go right back to the dark glass round beads, and then an 11-0 and another one of the dark blue and another one of the I'm sorry, my brain just went, and another one of the dark blue. I got ahead of myself and forgot what I was doing. All right, so once I get that done, I will end it with another 11-0. Now this is the main pattern. We'll go with the opal, then we'll go with 3 of the dark, then 2 of the amazonite, then 3 of the dark, and they will all be separated by 11-0s. So the next thing to go up will be the milk glass, and I will get you a picture of this. Okay, as you can see here, I have started out with that faceted sea glass opal, Rondelle, and then I have added 3 of the dark blue, then 2 of that sky blue amazonite, then 3 of the dark blue glass, and then 1 of the opal, again in that sea glass opal Rondelle. I've separated everything with 11-0 silver seed beads. I use silver because of the clouds. You could also use that crystal silver lined 11-0 seed bead that I have used a lot, and I really love it. And then for the clouds, I have started out with a cloud at the opal, at the amazonite before it, at the end of the 3 dark blue, and then after the amazonite, I am putting them on at the when the pattern changes, and I will show you that as we go along. But let's move on down this. So as you can see, this is where I took my picture from, and this is what we had just talked about with the beginning of the opal and the 2 clouds in the middle. So now then, what I do is I'm going to start this whole component over again. I'm first going to put on a cloud because I have done a different step, and that was with the faceted sea glass opal. And so I've added a cloud, and I'll go back and I'll put a cloud over there. Now then, as I go down, next thing to go, because I'm starting with the dark blue again. I'm treating this as a complete component, just one component. So I will add 3 of the dark blue, separated by the 11-0 seed bead. And then whenever I've got that done, I'm going to move on to the amazonite. Between let's go ahead and get this up here, and then I'll go on. I get ahead of myself talking. I go, oh boy, I'm really doing this. I'm on point. And then I get ahead of what I'm doing. All right. So I will need to go ahead and put on an 11-0. And then I'm going to put on the amazonite. I love this. It is so pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and before I do that, I have to put on the cloud because I had finished the dark blue section. So it should look just like that. And then I will go ahead and put on the amazonite, if I can get that. And then I'll go again with the dark blue. At the end of the amazonite, I will put on another cloud. At the end of the dark blue, I will put on a cloud. So let's see here, just like that. And we should have another seed bead and a cloud. And see, I'm checking to see where the slit is on that cloud because I want to make sure that the slit is all facing the same way. And this one was not quite closed. I was not a good person at this point. I got in a hurry. Have you ever done that where you're doing everything all at once? You know, you got a assembly line going. Well, that's what I was doing with these clouds. And so I'm really having to check them to make sure there's no rough feel on them, because I was assembly lining the clouds. And that's something you have to be careful with. And I think sometimes that's what happens when people are making a lot of jewelry by hand, and you'll get something and it'll fall off. It wasn't that they weren't being careful with it. It was just that they were doing an assembly line. And I don't know about them, but when I do an assembly line, my brain goes, okay, I can do this. I can do this. All right. So I have got on the 3, and then I'm going to go ahead once I finish that and put on the cloud, and then we'll go on the opal again. And I'm going to continue this till I get 7 1/4 to 7 1/2 inches in beads, and I will meet you at the other side. And we are back. I think that I have about 7 1/4 inches here, maybe a little under 7 inches, because for my stretch bracelets, I like to put something with a large hole on the end. And I have to take that into consideration when I am measuring my bracelet. So I'm going to put it on and see about where it looks, and it looks about the right size. In fact, I think it is exactly the right size. So I'm going to have to back off some beads, probably at least one on each side, so that I can go ahead and put the ending for this bracelet. So let's get all this cleaned out of the way so I have a place to work. And here we go. Let's lay this back out, and we're going to go ahead and clip it. I work on this spool whenever I'm doing a lot of these things. That way I don't have to have a clip on the end to keep it from falling off when I'm picking up, messing with it. Now I did with this one, I pulled it off slightly whenever I was messing with the beads. So be very careful. So I'm thinking about what I'm going to do, because I do know that I'm going to need something. So I've taken one off of one side, and I'm going to go ahead and take one off of the other side so that I will have enough to go ahead and put my donuts on. I bet you wondered whenever I was going to use those donuts. I'm going to go back and measure and see where it's setting, and it's setting at about a little over 6 1/2 inches. And I'm going to fill that up right there, because this is a stretch bracelet, so I don't have to get it all the way to the 7 1/4 mark. But I will put on one of these 6/0 silver beads. Then I'm going to put on 1, 2, all right, there we go, 3, just like that, of the donuts, and that will allow me to tie my knot and hide it in these donuts. And then I've already put on the silver on the other side, but I think maybe I'll go with 4. I'm trying to get this balanced out with the beads and make sure that I have enough in my inches. So if you will look, once I put 4 on, I am right there at that, come on, put it back up, at that about 7 1/8, 7 1/4 mark. And so I am ready with those larger holes to tie this bracelet. All right, so now that I've cut it from the spool, and I am going to do a surgeon's knot. That's where you go over the thread twice and then pull it down. And I'm going to lock that in place just like that. When you're tying it, you want it to be taut, but not tight. And the reason I say that is if you pull too hard on the stretch cord, it will snap. Even the best, even my stretch magic will snap. So now I've got that on just like that. And what a surgeon knot is, like you were just making a little tie, but you put the end through twice and it locks it in place. Then I take and go under my piece And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do a surgeon knot on the bottom, just like that. And then I'll bring it back up the top and do one more surgeon knot. Now, do you have to do that, all of that? Probably not, but I want to make sure it's good and secure. And so that's what the bracelet is going to look like. Now, this is an added step for me. I have watched lots of wonderful beaders that are so much more experienced than I am, and they do not do this step. But the first lady I ever watched do this, there you go, she always put a little dot of glue on her knot. I'm using Gorilla Glue. I'm going to put it on a toothpick and just put it right on there. Then I'll clip my ends and I'll maneuver the knot into those beads. I also, depending on what is setting on my work table, use the super glue, the gel super glue. It takes a little long for it to set up, so I have time to clip and then maneuver just like that this into the beads. And then, because it's Gorilla Glue, I'm going to have to let it sit for 24 hours to be completely dry. You can work with it after 15 to 20 minutes, but it's not set and it can pull out on you. So we're going to let this set, and I'll see you in a minute. So this has only been about 20 minutes, so it's not completely set, but I wanted to go ahead and finish this and show you what I have done. I'm sorry I was wiggling my hands off, but this is just a beautiful, beautiful piece of jewelry. Is it high-end? Absolutely not. Is it fun and flirty? Absolutely. Is it perfect for sun or shine? Absolutely. And you know, for me, it reminds me that not all clouds are bad. Not even rain clouds are bad. They wash away the dirt from our air. They give rain to the ground so that we can have beautiful trees and grass and flower. They give us the cover over our head. So there is always, as they say, a silver lining to every cloud. And here are some pictures. I tell you what, I have really enjoyed this April Showers box. I love being able to work out of my comfort zone, and I encourage you also to work out of your comfort zone. Grow your talent, grow your spirit, and grow your life. It's amazing. Thank you for joining me today on this wonderful beading adventure. I hope you've had fun. I hope you've laughed some with me. You can laugh at me. I've told you that before. It doesn't matter. And I hope that your heart and your mind and your spirit have been lifted. May you have an amazing beading adventure of your own today. And I will see you next time. God bless. Kathryn, Handmade by Circle Art Designs. Bye, y'all.